What is going on, you guys? My name is Rage and we are back today with another quick video on the overview now upcoming with Pocket Dimensions. It's been officially announced in less than 4 days. The next Pocket Dimension is joining the void here for us to actually be able to go through and complete for completion. As you can see, time recording 3 days, 10 hours. Hitting the eye, we can get a sense here, as you can see, what the possible rewards is going to be. And once again, similar and consistent with the first one that came about, it is really just going to be the abundance of the teal fragments and as well as gear and materials. For those of you, especially in the end game, transitioning and likely working towards Dark Dimension 5, this is going to be a valuable opportunity to do so. Now, the caveat here is that it's only been announced actually in the last 24 hours, and with the last Dark Pocket Dimensions, we were given about a month to 2 months. So I think a lot of players are going to feel strapped for time, and I'm going to give you a sense of that too, right? Keep in mind, I'm 100% free to play, and I have taken a look at the characters, which I will go through in more detail, but right now the character list is not exactly the best, especially if you're like me, building a really high quality roster, building tall, not wide. It's gonna likely require some investing. This is the one thing to keep in mind. They've mentioned numerous times they don't like us hoarding materials, but when they give us 3 to 4 days of a heads up to train up characters in preparation for these events, which are limited time, by the way, this is where maybe having that mantra and mentality. That's why for me, I've always focused on characters that are high quality, but if I don't need to invest in them, I won't, and I'm usually in a pretty decent position. So just for reference, again 100% free to play. Total collection power is 10.6 million. Strongest team power is 854k of my 5 best characters. That said, even with that built of a roster, this is still going to be a challenge, I think, for a lot of endgame players. So keep in mind, I've also completed Dark Dimension 4, all the previous stages. I've also perform 100% completion on Doom 2.3, and even then, this characters is what we have right now for usage. So in case you guys are not aware, they've determined that it is the Disciple trait roster. So how you can do that is hitting filter and then scrolling through the Disciple, and this will list all the characters that are going to be eligible to be utilized as part of this next Pocket Dimensions. And as you guys can see, a lot of these characters are not built up, and for obvious reasons. Either I'm not using them in the meta, or they're either really focused heavily in war, which I'm not actually active a lot in. I go in through my attacks, but at the end of the day, it's not an important aspect of my gameplay because it only happens 3 times a week. And honestly speaking, our alliance wins 2 or 3 out of those battles each week anyways, while my roster being 2 built. So at the end of the day, it's not going to be much even if I invest heavily in these guys. So with that being said, you guys, let's actually talk about the characters, in my honest opinion, that would actually add a lot of value. Those of you who are preparing for this event, that are trying to scramble and put in those training materials here in preparation, who are the recommended characters to utilize? Well, first and foremost, Doctor Strange Heartless. If you guys do by chance have him unlocked, he's a no-brainer. He's just going to be part of the new meta in that Darkhold team, especially with Morgan Le Fay coming into the mix here as part of that meta team. But otherwise, a lot of players likely won't have him unlocked because his event actually comes out shortly after Pocket Dimensions has concluded. So, but if you have him, you can definitely synergize him in terms of having that leverage and value, especially with the Darkhold characters coming in. Outside of that, I'm going to just talk about the characters I have already kind of built up naturally through playing the game. So the obvious one is going to be Iceman. You're going to find a lot of value building him up if you haven't already, and this would be a perfect time to do so, just because his team and the Astonishing X-Men are the only team that are even feasible in the Mutants notes for the Doom 2 raid. So he's an absolute must-have. If you have him already maxed out, he's for sure a lock, just because for a couple things, right? If there's a character on the other side that has a slow, well, his special is going to be able to actually apply stun. As well, his ultimate is actually going to be able to reduce damage, especially when they have a slow on them. So this is going to be a really good value character. He's going to be able to buy you a little bit more time with his slowing, and honestly speaking, he's going to have that good support. Another character I've leveled up in the past, which you may not have, but very cheap to invest in, is Black Widow. I've used her all the way up until Dark Dimension 3 and Dark Dimension 4, and for a couple of things, right? She provides speed up to the team, so opposite of Iceman, so you're going to have that double speed with both of them actually going at the same time. She's got a stun that's handy. If you recall in Dark Dimension nodes, you always want to have good support, sustainability of abilities, and by using a stun, it's able to buy us time a little bit, right? And able to actually allow you to correct and be able to pivot and really aim for the enemies that you need to take down, which in this case is going to be very useful because with these nodes, they're a marathon, not a sprint, so you want to have good synergies and good support. Having Iceman and Black Widow as two support lines on your team is going to add a lot of value already. They have good support, crowd control, 2 stuns right away, so those 2 characters I think are going to have a lot of value. Best part is, again, Black Widow's relatively cheap to actually bring up due to her materials, so I mean, you're going to have some synergies there for sure. If you want to actually combine her with Nick Fury, because Nick Fury is also built up on my team right now. I've brought him up for gamma raids. He was not used too much in Doom 2 just because of the Secret Avengers coming into the mix here and them being the meta, but this could be a good reason to bring him up, especially push him out a little bit more, and that way you can have that synergy with Black Widow. And that's going to be likely my 3 core characters just because they have a good mix of healing, support, and as well, keep in mind, these nodes don't have a time limit, so it doesn't really matter how slow we do the damage. So as long as something's being done, there's good crowd control, good sustain, we're going to be in a really good place. Now, that leaves us with the last 2 spots in terms of what can we bring for damage, maybe some other support or crowd control. I think a lot of players are likely going to bring in the combination of Black Bolt and Yo-Yo. So if you guys recall, with these 2, Black Bolt and Yo-Yo, they synergize extremely well with each other. Black Bolt doesn't really provide much in terms of support, but he's pure and raw damage. He's got a lot of offensive output. As you can see here, I don't have him leveled up quite a bit just because I haven't really used him in other aspects of the game. In war, him and his fellow humans are still pretty powerful in terms of being an offensive team. So you can definitely bring him up there, especially if you already invested him up to 213 like I am. You know, that's a good chance to actually just leverage that and, you know, apply some more training into him to bring him up. Good damage output. And Yo-Yo's really nice because she synergizes with Black Bolt. She has good support, and if best of all, if you don't have a protector on your team in this case, you're going to actually be able to leverage her ability to apply an offense down every turn. Now, the one thing to say about that is that they're all actually shield characters as well. So I mean, having Yo-Yo, Black Widow, Nick Fury, they're just going to have that shield tag, and they'll be able to provide some support with each other for that. So I think that right there, the top 5 right now I naturally have in my roster is a pretty good selection. But in case you guys don't have them, what are some other characters that we can discuss about? You know, Scarlet Witch is getting that rework here, as you can see, being part of that new Darkhold team as well, and being able to synergize with Doctor Strange. I would not bring her if you don't have Doctor Strange, the Heartless, just because of the fact that you know, she needs a little bit of support from that, but she has good sustain, good healing, so I do recommend her, and she's gonna be likely part of the new meta, especially with that Darkhold team. Another powerful character that if you guys were long around enough to invest in was Magneto. He used to be a very, very top legendary in the game, and as you can see, I came in a little bit later after that stage, so that's why I don't have him built up heavily, but he's always got that handy blind for crowd control, supporting. He's got disruption, a strong character, likely needs a rework, but if you guys have him built up naturally already, he's going to be able to give you some value there. And then next we do have the combination here of newer characters and reworked, such as Morbius and Ghost Rider. So I mean, these characters just got reworked. So Ghost Rider specifically, good damage output, part of that Dark Hunter war team. But if you have him high or naturally ready, he's going to have some good damage output for your team, as well as Morbius, right? You know, a lot of players have already spoken on his viability in Dark Dimension, so I can only imagine that his usage is going to be similar in Pocket Dimension. The newest character in the game being added as well in this last season, so I mean, he's likely going to add a lot of value there. Part of that new Dark Hunters, again, war meta. He's got some good draining in terms of his damage abilities and lots of bleed, so a very good damage character as well. And then other characters that are just kind of honorable mentions if you have them already built up. Night Nurse is extremely good for healing if you can slot her in somewhere. Obviously, I don't have her built up because I've never really paid attention to the Shadowland here, but she does have good sustain and good support if you guys naturally used her in Dark Dimension. Kate Bishop was also newer as well, and again, she's going to be in more of a supportive role, but these are all characters I would recommend high level. Everybody else, I don't know how much value they would add as of now, just because they're not really used too heavily. But those are going to be my top 5, you guys, just for your reference. If that gives you any support, for sure I'll be making some videos though, just to document my progression in Pocket Dimension. So thank you as always, you guys. I do hope this video does provide some insight in your preparation, and my apologies too. I'm sorry that you guys may have to funnel some materials these last few days, but it is what it is. If we want to take advantage of these free Teal Gear materials that are coming for us. So thank you as always. Do appreciate you checking my videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.